Welcome to Marrin Costello Radio, where we have intentional conversations with impactful people. Your weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and entrepreneurship. Join me as we explore the ins and outs of building and running a business, interview leaders across all industries, and find the common denominator beneath it all. Welcome to Marrin Costello Radio. Welcome to the first episode of Marrin Costello Radio, your weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and entrepreneurship, where we have intentional conversations with impactful people. I'm so proud to introduce to you probably one of the most impactful people in my life. I'm not kidding. Oh. My dear friend, soul sister, and the powerhouse CEO and founder of the lifestyle organization design firm, Life in Jeneral.
What an intro. I'm going to start crying already.
Factual. I feel like there's going to be tears in this episode.
For sure.
We haven't seen each other in at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Like a proper catch-up, I think.
Wild.
A la pandemic.
Thanks for having me.
Duh. I couldn't think of anyone more perfect. Welcome.
Thanks.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're doing? And we're going to go through all the things later. But
all the things.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Jen, like you said, and I own Life in Jeneral, and we are an organizing company based out of Los Angeles. And I started in 2014. I was a personal assistant before. Moved my old client a lot. And the short version is I fell in love with people and creating systems and order every single day in someone's life and seeing the impact that it had in one person's life and what it really meant to be organized and how that really does change someone's life. Really was the trajectory for me in starting Life in Jeneral. I was doing organizing on the weekends for friends and family and not getting paid. And it was just like such a passion and love. And I had no idea that this could be a career by any means. And it was finally when someone said like, hey, I would really love for you to help me move into the home that I'm going into. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to be there at 6 a.m. with Sharpies and boxes and color coding and all of that. And this like love turned into this passion of mine where I realized I could take the leap of faith and start Life in Jeneral. And here we are.
I love that. So when you said you moved your old client or your old boss, you physically moved them. Like you moved all of their things from one location to another. So that was your testing ground.
Yes. And like I said, I loved it. So I didn't even know it could be a career, but he was a professional athlete and just loved to move in the same city, not even changing teams. But, I just would send him away and then take care of all the logistics and the details. And he would come back, turnkey, the whole house, every drawer, food in the fridge, the closet was color coded, and just everything was, really creating that life for him. So he didn't have to worry about anything. And my friends thought I was crazy because I loved it so much and nobody likes moving. And it's like a big strain in people's lives. And it's like the DMV, nobody wants to do it. And I'm like, oh, we are doing it every single day. And I love it so much. And so that really started understanding like, oh, this is a thing. I can create order and space for not just one person, but thousands of people all over the world by the tools of organization and really creating systems and what my process is and teaching people and empowering people and having people know that I really believe that at the core of being happy is you are organized and you have an organized from your schedule to your home to, everything in your life should have value and purpose and understanding the big picture of what life is really about, which is connection and people and love and not collecting all of these things. And so it's been just such a journey. And I'm really grateful that I truly, truly think that this is my calling and passion in life. And I could not imagine doing anything else.
I'm such a proud friend. Oh, that is so, I've never actually heard you speak to the brand. I mean, I can give a testimonial as to using your service because it changed my life a year ago, 2 years ago when I used it initially. And when we're currently recording in my Los Angeles office. And when she came into the office, which I had moved once since she and her team helped me, the systems that she and her team put in place are still around. Like she and her team are so effective. I cannot speak to how much you guys have changed my life and exactly like completely validate what you just said. Like how you want to treat your clients and how you want your clients to feel is exactly how I continue to feel years later after using your service. It's amazing.
I love it. And that's what I try to tell people. It's a one-time investment because I want you to learn it. I want you to upkeep it. I want you to maintain it and have that system. It's not something that I want you to call me back for the same space, or you're moving, we can help you, but really empowering you to understand like the bigger effect that it has on your life and walking every day into your home and feeling good about your home, the space that you're in, and creating that structure to then be great in other areas of your life. Like your business would run more smoothly, like your friendships. I really do think it all is intertwined to creating like the ultimate dream and happiness of what people want for themselves.
I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, I'm 100% what it's done for me. Yeah. So I'm forever grateful to you.
Yay, I love that.
I love you. What was your first experience with organizing? Were you always a very neat and tidy kid? Because I'm not sure if it's like the systems that you did you love systems when you were working for your prior boss, or do you have memories of organizing as a child?
So I definitely was an organized kid. Like my room was always tidy. There wasn't stuff everywhere. And I actually had a friend tell me recently that in middle school, we would color code and declutter her closet, which I actually did not remember. And I'm like, you're joking. Like, are you just telling? And she's like, oh no, we would do this on the weekends. And I'm like, oh yeah. So maybe it started in middle school. And then in high school, I was a student government nerd, class president, and just remember not only wanting to organize like groups and people, but really kind of creating order in classrooms and like going into people's space and say like, this is really not functioning as well as it could be. And I'm sure so many people thought I was crazy, but I know that it was kind of in the core of who I am, of I just like being in space that feels good. And until I was older, realize the connection. You don't realize that when you're in it and understanding like I'm color coding and,
right.
Decluttering. I didn't even know that was a thing, but fast forward, years later where I'm like, oh, there's such a connection for me. And it's been just watching that unfold and seeing and remembering the things I do in high school or those moments with my friend that I did not remember, but just my mom always telling me, you were always like this to-do list making, color coding, highlighting person. I'm like, okay, well, that's great.
That's so funny. I feel like my family says the same thing about me in a different vein, and I don't remember. I don't know if it's short-term memory loss or because we're focusing on so many other things, but maybe there are signs.
Exactly.
When we're younger. Do you enjoy managing people? Because you're so good at it.
Thank you for saying that. It is a really hard thing. Mm-hmm. Total transparency, just with everything going on in the world in 2020, I think it made me really step back that I love people to their core and almost to a fault. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think I was meant to be a business owner in the way that, managing teams and all that. Like, I just want to connect and I want to make a difference in the world and I want to be around people and empower them and inspire them and lift people up. But the day-to-day management of, people in general is hard. It is the hardest thing to do, especially when there's so many people, and I'm a feeler. And so if somebody's, their daughter's sick, like I take that and carry with me. So I'm checking in on them and it's a sweet thing. And I know, and I love that about me, but on the other side, it is a lot of feeling towards, not focusing on the task at hand, but rather more the people and making sure everyone at every time is good versus the big picture of, they are great. They're in a company that feels good and everyone's adults and they can make their own decisions. Mm-hmm. And you just really want the right people around you. So it is a really hard thing to manage people and expectations. And I have really high standards and I've learned a lot about myself, especially in the last year. And you learn a lot about people during a pandemic too, where maybe 5 years ago, I wouldn't have noticed certain characteristics or things of people. But when you go through something like that and you run, I also have Closets in General. So 2 full-time companies of small businesses of, trying to survive during that. It really makes you think like, what do I want to be doing and how can I streamline this so I can focus on the things that I love, which are the connection part of the people, but not managing them. So, hiring out for that versus me taking all the time in HR and what that looks like, because it matters, and it matters to, I want people to know I care, but I know that everyone knows that already. And being in the company, I know that they can feel my passion and my drive every single day. The physical management of it it's hard.
Well, you do it with such grace. Do you have any particular means of coping with that? Do you have mentors, or who do you kind of lean on for help with that? Or is it just like going inward and praying about it?
Kind of like all of the above.
Okay.
And like I said, we'll be going into the 6th year of this business, and so much changes every single day, as you know, evolving into what you want to be closer to your dream, right? And so I'm a dreamer. Every day I have all these ideas, and I'm like, keep in line, And so in the beginning, it was kind of me throwing things to the wind and Googling and asking my brother, thank God for him. He's our in-house attorney and legal side of things, where there's so much unknown running a business, and then understanding hiring out when you can. So my very first, I hired a business coach, which Michelle, she's amazing. She will be in my life forever. And it's one of those things where I needed someone to come in and help me run it, because I didn't go to school for this. I didn't, get a degree, and I don't know. Some days I'm like, how did I get here? But it's like when you lead with love and heart and compassion, really beautiful things happen. And she has really helped me, as well as the foundation of the people around me. So my friends and family, and not everyone runs a business. And so understanding, there's been times where you miss a lot of things, and having people, be okay with that. And those people will be in your life, and they'll know your heart in it all. But it's a lot of people like believing in you and knowing that I'm not ever going to have it all figured out. No one is. And just trusting in God and trusting in, the people around you to want you to thrive. And I think those people in particular, not just my family, but the business coach and the girls goal group that I have, it's like keeping accountability, and my church.
I love that. Have you had to let go of a lot of friendships or relationships, or have you had to rework them?
This one's interesting for me because I love everyone. And like I said, sometimes it gets me in trouble where I put a lot of guilt on myself for not showing up in the way I would like to. So the friends are still there because they're amazing, and the ones that are lifers. And but there has been some guilt, and we don't want to live with regrets ever, but there's been times where I wish there was a different way, and I wish I could do it all, and I wish I could go to the wedding and the baby shower and run a full-time business and make sure I have 2 full-time businesses and make sure, I'm putting food on the table for me and 25 employees. So that has been a big navigation, but I feel really fortunate in the friends that understand. But I would say there's always, you wish there was some more time. And so I'm really now and really trying to take a step back when I can and say, pour into these relationships and what really feels good. And a lot of it is like the prayer and faith that I have of, the right people will be in your life, and just making sure you're surrounded by good people, not just on the business side, but, my friends that are like the ones that are the first person I call when I'm just having a day, and they'll pick up the phone immediately. Doesn't matter the time. And so being really grateful for that. And just having people around me that have good souls and hearts.
I love that. When I met you, it was a few years ago, and I want to say you had about 10 employees, give or take, and you yourself were also working in the business still. Now I would consider you certainly working on the business. You're absolutely a CEO in its truest form from an outsider's perspective. But now you're up to 25. So I would love for you to walk through the journey of your self-organizing to hiring your first employee to now reaching 25, and also that structure. How has the structure shifted? What does it look like now?
So, and now I don't have 25, which I'll tell you the journey to this, because
perfect.
It's been a journey, but so it was just me in the beginning, starting the company, and about 4 to 6 months in, I was kind of having an aha moment, decluttering a garage for 2 weeks and loving it. Don't get me wrong. And the clients were like, you can live here forever for all I care, but realizing that there was a better way. And I probably could have done this a lot quicker if I had more hands. So it was kind of this, like, it's time to hire out. So every 3 or 4 months, I hired my first assistant, and then, we can take on a bigger job. Let's hire one more person, whether that was, me subcontracting or bringing them on payroll, which is always a very scary thing. But having that process from like 1 to 2 years, from probably me to about 10 people. And we still would contract people out, not necessarily full time, but then having like the core organizing company of 10 of us. I was doing it all still, like answering the emails, doing our social, working in the field, trying to like keep afloat and build it, and then it wasn't until I think the 3rd year that I brought my first in-house person. So just bringing on like the director of having management with that and being able to field the inquiries and then help with social a little bit, and just slowly growing in that capacity. And then when I started Closets in General a few years ago, that's a whole different dynamic, but they overlap quite a bit. And then last year before COVID, I had about 25 employees, and so in January, just signed a 7-year lease for a 5,000 square foot building in El Segundo, which I love. And then the pandemic hit and everything turned upside down. I knew we would survive it. Like, I would not let that happen. And I was going to fight like hell too. But seeing the last year of having so many people to then fighting like hell, to have total transparency, some people not wanting to come back because they were making more on unemployment, which, I'm working 24 hours trying to keep the company alive for them to have a job. And then some people, which I can say this, like, all the love in the world and respect, but they just are not the best fit for the company. Right. So that opened my eyes a lot. Last year and it's still in process, but I don't want to manage that many people, and I want the best of the best. And I value the team so much, and every person that's come in and gone out is taught me something, and there's all beauty in it, a lot of lessons too. So now we're at about 15 between both companies. And I'm totally changing the dynamic of my company in the best way. Like, I always feel like company culture and the heart and the people are what makes it. But now more than ever, I am trying to be small and mighty, if that makes sense.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. And I want to talk about what the future looks like and how you're transforming, but let's take a quick commercial break so I can get my charger, because my computer's going to die.
Place your hand in mine, swing your hips on my way, 'cause girl, I'm only here into the morning time. So I said, place your hand in mine, swing your hips on my way, 'cause girl, I'm only here into the morning time. Take a look in your eyes and notice how everything stops around me. Arms wrapped tight around me, sweet, sweet scent, let it linger upon me. 'Cause if this thing don't go as planned tonight, I need you to tell me that this ain't the last time that I'm gonna see you, yeah. And if this feeling's mutual, then give me a second, 'cause all I want you to know is that I need you, yeah. To wind your body down the way you've been all night, yeah. I can help this feeling. Place your hand in mine, swing your hips on my way, 'cause girl, I'm only here into the morning time. So I said, place your hand Body movement, slow motion. Know my mind's on your body, cause I promised there would be nobody else, yeah. All I really want is for you to get busy with me, yeah. At least before the time when the sun rises in your eyes. Cause I can see myself in love, infatuated by your touch, yeah. Touch of a future. I don't want to sway with no one else other than you on this floor, yeah. Place your hand in mine, swing your hips on my way, cause girl, I'm only here into the morning time. So I said, place your hand in mine, swing your hips on my way, cause girl, I'm only here into the morning time. Place your hand in mine, swing your hips on my way, cause girl, I'm only here into the morning time. So I said, place your hand in mine, swing your hips on my way, cause girl, I'm only here into the morning time. Only here until the morning time. Oh, yeah. Come on. Oh, yeah. Let's go. All I need you to do is just sing. Sing, oh, yeah. All I want you to do is just sing. Sing, oh, yeah. Everybody now, sing, oh, yeah, na, 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 na. Sing, oh, yeah, na, 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 na. Let's go.
And we're back. So tell us about how your company has transformed and what it looks like in the future, for the future.
So, like I said, I had at one point the 25 employees. I did the whole like grow. You know, in my eyes, it was never about the number of people, but it was always about the reach. And I knew the more people we had, the more people we could help. And so just really changing my mindset of there's other ways to help the same, if not tens of thousands of more people, whether it be online or, you know, virtual. It doesn't necessarily need to be the physical amount of people. So and we're in the process of it, but my new plan is I want to empower people to do what they do and do what we do in their own capacity, wherever they are in the world. And I started a partnership program. So really like more of the mentoring, business coaching for other organizers to help more people. So it's like I'm one person and my company, there's only so many people we can serve per day. And we went from having 4 to 5 jobs a day, 5-6 days a week, typically Monday through Friday, to I'm great with just 1 or 2 a day. You know, it's less to manage, you know, but also it's really beautiful because what we do is so vulnerable and so intentional. And when we had 5 jobs, we were still doing that. Like I won't ever take away from the care we put into every single person.
Which is so spectacular and so intentional and so gentle. You guys are so gentle, but also extremely effective. Sorry to interrupt you. No. I had to slide that in there.
And I love this, you felt it. So when people don't know what organizing is, I'm just like, let me just do 1 drawer in your home, and that feeling that you will get that same day, the next morning, a week later, whatever it may be. And usually it's pretty like right away. You cannot explain that feeling. And it's something that I'm trying to it is magic. It's something that you feel like deep rooted of what that does to you. And so having that process, and you can speak to it, of feeling from being overwhelmed, anxious, all of these negative things around X, to then feeling empowered, you know, and literally in a space that feels different. Like not only are you transforming, but your space is, and it all goes hand in hand. And so I'm excited about a lot of things this year. And I think, and not to keep talking about last year, but it was the hardest year of my life other than when my dad passed. I'm just and I could cry talking about it, because it's like, you have this, like, I'm such a feeler where there's so much hurt going on in the world and pain, and people were dying, and I would never take away from any of that, because that's a real thing. But on the other side too, it's like I have to run a business. So you're in this, like, how do I run 2 businesses and keep 25 people moving forward, happy, healthy, but also, like, this is my biggest passion in life, and I'm not going to let it die. And so people, of course, see the Instagram and, like, the moments of, like, you're killing it and oh my God, and all this stuff. And it's so sweet. And I do take that, like, in the beauty of it. But what they don't see is, like, me at my computer doing virtuals for 20 hours, creating how-to guides, which people all over the world can now do, which has been really wonderful for me, connecting with people, for me going into the office by myself, making sure my team was safe at home, to then technically we have the construction side. So we were, doing installs and stuff, and just trying to make sure everyone's safe, and, trying to navigate what last year looked like and felt like, and then to have people, say, like, I'm, like, loving this, and I get more money on unemployment, like, crush my soul, because I'm like, wait, why am I fighting so hard for you? And again, not everyone, there was just a few people who are no longer in the company, but that was a big realization of, like, I'm not doing this anymore in this way. And I have so much love to give, and we can really make such a big impact in the world. But I don't need 25 team members to do it. Let's just be creative and create online courses and virtual, which we did. And
you did one with you.
And how-to guide. I mean, it's like
so helpful, so effective.
And really also empowering people, because now their perspective in their home has changed, and people's priorities have shifted and it was the hardest, but I think it was the most transformational in my life. It is changed the course of what's now happening. And I'm still very much in it. So it's kind of fun to be like, check back in 6 months, round 2. But it's currently happening as we speak. And it's really this, like, I'm not taking shit from anybody anymore. And I say
good
it and, like,
on you.
Stand in my power. And I've been so afraid and so people pleasing. And I can still lead with light and love and goodness and, like, all of that. Nothing will change, but standing in my power of, we're going to make a real difference in this world. And we're going to get to the heart of people and understand, how we can impact more people with, like, the small and mighty. And I'm ecstatic. Like I told you coming in here, I'm like, I don't sleep right now because I'm like, not that I ever do, but I'm just like, my wheels are spinning. I'm like, we have so much work to do and all the goodness, but I'm really just, there's so much coming out this year. And I just am excited to watch it unfold, but also trying to live very present moment of, like, I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm grateful. I know that we can make this impact and continue to do what we do, but just in a much different way. And I'm like on board. I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm like, who's getting on this train because it's a good one. And it's like my heart and intention has not wavered. And last year and going through, and again, I say this, like, I'm very blessed. Like, I didn't go through the health and all of that. And I do not take what happened lightly for anyone. But what I will say is fighting for something that you've, like, subconsciously created your whole life, and then having, you're not in control. And, when do we go back into people's homes? I mean, I've been making decisions that I'm like, this is too many decisions for one person to make, like 100 decisions a day. And who am I to make these decisions?
Right.
It's like, I don't know the health rules. I don't know the legal side. I don't know this and that. And so I'm like, just trying to survive and then make sure that we do things differently. And I'm very excited for it.
I'm so pumped. I told you guys there were going to be tears today. One thing that you mentioned that I think that really resonated with me and kind of pulled at my heartstrings was you saying that you can please people and also stand in your power. I feel like finding those two and harnessing them both at the same time or in conversation with each other, that to me is the secret sauce. Like, do no harm, but take no shit. Yeah. But love everyone, but also love yourself.
Yeah. And we've known each other for a long time where it's a struggle for me. Mm-hmm. It is a struggle because I love deeply, and there's a story behind every person and heart and client and friend and family and team member and everybody in the world. And that's a lot of weight to carry when you like feel all of that. And I would get burned quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And because I wasn't able to speak up in the way that I would like to because of the fear of, hurting someone or, thinking I'm making the wrong decision, even though your gut always is right. Like I know when things are happening, I've made a million mistakes in my life, and I'm going to continue to make a million more, especially in business. But I always want to be moving forward. I always want to be understanding like, what is my purpose here? And how can I serve and help people to the best of my ability and take my passion and my love for this crazy thing called organizing, but it's so much deeper than that. And like I said, I'm excited for it, but I also feel like a shift is happening, and I can't wait to see it unfold, but I also can't wait to see how many more people it helps because of it.
I love that. Where does your strength come from? Where does your drive come from? It is such a privilege to observe you in that space. And I've been so lucky to see you in that. And that's how you've inspired me so much. We're both crying. Don't look at me. Where in the world does that come from? Explain yourself.
No, I'm getting choked up because it's like, how much time do we have? My faith is hands down my number one, and my dad. Like I just saw him every single day work like so hard for our family, and he was an entrepreneur, and I'm like, what's that? Like, how do you spell it? Like, I laugh because I still don't connect the two.
Yeah.
When people are like, what's your subtitle? It's like entrepreneur. I'm like, what? But my dad always would tell me, like, you can do anything in the world that you want as long as you are kind and treat people right. And it's so true, like, I don't think I've ever cried like this in a day. There's a lot happening in the world. So I'm like, just finally coming out.
I know.
Every day I'm like, you have a choice. You have a choice to be happy. You have a choice to make a difference in someone's life. And I don't take that lightly. And I think that's what, like, I have a lot of friends in this organizing world, and I will forever, like, there is a community, and I love it so much. And when people say, like, what makes you stand apart, and it's not a better or worse than anyone, it is what makes you different. And I'm like, there is so much, like, love with my team and the care that we give, and the amount of, like, I will not sleep if there's, like, something that I'm like, my brain is always working, because I'm like, how can I make this person's life better? Whether it just be one space or your home, but how can I get to your heart? And how can it sounds so cheesy, but like, I'm always subconsciously like, none of this stuff matters. And what matters is this, the heart-to-heart connection. And I'm so grateful that my dad has instilled that in me and my family, and of course God. And it is such a beautiful thing when you can connect that and then build a life around the core foundation of what that means. And it's crazy what I'm like talking about an organizing company, and they're like, what do you do? I'm meeting somebody, it's like, oh, I organize, and and I'm like, should we grab a glass of wine? And how much time do you have? Because there is so much depth to what we do and what we what we are capable of, that it is the most incredible thing to witness and to make sure that I'm like in alignment with my core values and what I want to help with and teach people. And, there's no perfect here. It's like I've got a long journey ahead of me. I always want to be growing and evolving as a human, as a business, as a leader, as a mentor, as a friend. I mean, you name it. I'm like, as a partner, I'm just like, how can I be the best version of myself? Not every day is going to be rainbows, but I want to make sure I'm leading with that. And it's just, when you have that every morning, like, we get to wake up and be in this world. So we have a choice to what we want to do. And I don't take that lightly or for granted any day.
It is probably the most impressive thing about you to watch you navigate your schedule and to still carve out time. And I know that you say that it's a struggle and you've had to make choices between, baby showers and weddings and work and whatnot. But as the recipient of that behavior, and you forever making time for a phone call or a coffee date or, anything when we get together, which is, it's been years, but when we do, it's like no time has passed. How do you set boundaries and how do you schedule your time? I mean, what people need to know is that you are the master time blocker. I have never seen someone operate a calendar the way that you navigate the world. It is like, if I could bottle it up and sell it, that I would have struck gold. So what is your schedule like, and how do you prioritize the things in your life to make sure that you're carving out time for your people in your occupation and your people in your personal life?
That's a great question. Like I said, it's a very much a work in progress, and I do struggle with it still, and prioritizing me first and knowing, like, if I'm at my best, I can give my best. But I really try to, it's like micro-organizing. It's like I try to look at each day and what's the priority and what's my intention for that day. And, whether I can make a phone call or meet with a friend. And in this industry, like, every day is different. So, like, I could have a perfect plan, like color-coded, time blocked from like 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. I have my shower and I literally write down like everything. It's weird, but I love it. And I'm like, and you just start managing your time. It's like efficiency. And then you can start taking off. Like, I don't even brush my teeth and shower on there. But sometimes I literally have to say, like, this is how much time I have, because there's 2 businesses. There's a lot of other things happening. And I just have to manage it, because I don't want my schedule to manage me, which sometimes it does. And I don't love the way that feels of the not carving out time for me, or the not carving out time for people I care about, and making sure, like, I am resting, and just, understanding what it is, not just that day or that week or that month, not about checking things off a list, because that used to be not a habit, but more so like it would feel so good to cross it off. But knowing that there's a lot of flexibility and being open to that, and also having open time. So if something were to come in, it's not so regimented where it's like not fun, it's like, we're here to be alive and have fun. But also, like, there's a lot of shit to do, and I have a lot going on, and I try to stay away from, like, I'm so busy, or when people are like, you're the busiest person. It's like, oh, I don't want you to say that.
I disagree completely. You are not, there's a difference between busy and efficient, and there's a lot of fake busy, especially in this town. We're in LA right now. There's a lot of fake busy and a lot of people with appointments that don't really mean anything, and things on their calendar that are meaningless and just nonsense. You are hands down the most efficient person that I know. It is all strategic and intentional and efficient. Like, you just crush. You just slay. I can't even, it is such.
I wish that's how I felt every day, but
if you need a reminder, give your girl a call, because I will remind you that. I'm speaking truth. This is all truth. Just facts only.
Yeah.
What does prioritizing yourself look like? How do you self-care?
Not very well right now, but we are finally getting in the groove. I laugh because I know how much people say, like, drink water and meditate and spend time with God and work out and, get 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, it's like, there's 10 things if everyone did. It's like, we would all be happier, people. It's like,
I think it would probably change the world if everyone poured into themselves. Yeah.
And organized through all that. It's done. That's the key to life.
Secret sauce.
Book coming out next year.
Woo!
So for me, last year was kind of like, can't count that. I think I worked out 10 times in the entire year. And this year being almost, we're in February now, but I've worked out like 5 times as much. Like
right.
I laugh, like, I'm like, oh, I can slowly see the shifts, but it's that routine that I'm still going with. This is a very honest conversation of like, right now it's a little crazy because of all these things that are going on. And, the dust kind of finally settling a little bit to where there's a little bit more,
for lack of a better word, organization.
It's like organized chaos in the best way. Like I see it and I'm like, you need to leave the office a few days a week at like 5:15, 5:30 to go home and have dinner. And I just, instead of staying at the office late or, I am writing a book, which we'll talk about later, which I can't give too much, but just
a couple breadcrumbs
for sure.
Just a couple breadcrumbs.
But just understanding like the intention behind how I want to feel and making sure that I'm not just saying yes to things because I feel like I have to. And I've been a lot better at it in the last year, 2 years of being like, I'm so sorry. It's just like, can't. And it's like, period, versus like,
no is a complete sentence.
Exactly. And, I get asked to do a lot of things and collaborations and panels and just kind of digging deeper into who's asking and the why and making sure it's in alignment. And I love that everyone does. And I love that brands want to work with us, but I have to stay true to myself, my authentic, like heart and soul of the reason why I do things. And so if it's not getting me closer to that goal and who I am and who I want to be, it's going to be a no. And I don't get it right all the time. No one does, but I think I'm getting a lot better in that realm. And then just like the journaling and the Bible study that I run and like the girl group that I'm in, it's just like having the people around you that are just rooting for you. They always want your best. I mean, they always want like for you exactly as you are, whatever. Like you could be a hot mess one day or you show up as you are, it does not matter. They're always going to support and love no matter what. And they really just having those people around you. And I'm like, the time blocking thing is huge, but it's, we'll have to do a whole segment on that. It's changed my life.
The brief 5-minute lesson that you gave me in the car, I want to say a year and a half ago, was transformative.
What was your takeaway with that? Like, how did you
write down every single thing? Write down every single thing. I carry a notebook with me. I have multiple systems on my computer that I write things down in. I aggregate them all at the end of the day or throughout the day, but write down every single thing along with the amount of time that you're allotting for it and give yourself grace in completing them, but write down everything.
I love that you said give yourself grace, because there's like, we all need more grace, across the board. And I think, like I said, it's every day is different, and you have no idea what today's going to bring. And you could get a call or something can go with a job or a team member with, the whole new pandemic. It's like every day it's like, oh, that we actually can't do that, and so just navigating it and leading with love.
Sometimes I look at my schedule and not everything was accomplished because of things coming up throughout the day. But at the end of the day, I do take inventory and ask myself, did I do right by everyone as best as I could? And if the answer is yes, then it was a win. And there's always tomorrow. You can handle it tomorrow.
And to piggyback off, did you try your best?
Yeah.
Right? And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And every day is going to be different. Like, now I've cried 5 times today. It's like not even 11. But just having that intention and just leading with all you have, I think it's the best.
It's all you can do. You can't take it with you.
No.
You can't take any of the stuff with you. I love that.
Exactly.
Interesting what you said earlier about people and connection being your reason, your why, your purpose. I tell people that I'm in the people business. The jewelry is the vessel, but it's about connection. It's just about connecting with people and leaving your mark and making one person smile. Yeah. That's a huge win.
Yeah, and we're in the same. I mean, we make people feel good,
right?
You know, and it's something that I take great pride in, and I'm really trying in 2021 to celebrate everything. And for me, I have to stop and think, which I never do, of like, I've done this on my own. And I don't mean that like I've had an amazing team and I could not have gotten here without the team and the people and everything that's intertwined. But there is something to be said about being not a co-founder and on your own and being like, holy shit, like I need to celebrate that and stop and be like, I've done this, and like really honor and how hard it is in that space too. And like, it's not like we have somebody to call. I mean, we have people, but it's so different. And a girlfriend of mine owns an organizing business and they're co-founders, and she's a mom and her co-founder's a mom too. And they're like, you know, moms have the hardest job in the world. Don't get me wrong. They just were telling me, they're like, who do you call? Like, how do you make decisions? Like, we're like 50-50. And I'm like, oh, can I call one of you? Because
that resonates so much.
Like, I know other people are in this industry or other industries. And I know there's people that are doing it way better than I am in terms of like running a business on their own. But this year I'm like, oh yeah, no, we are celebrating everything. The wins, the losses, the like everything that's pushing us closer to helping and serving people, but also taking a step back and being like, you have to be proud. You have to take that time to say like, damn, that felt good. Or wow, I really like, think of what I would do and, you know, with another, it's like, no, we're not doing the woulda, couldas. And like I said, I do have an amazing team, but that's a lot on one person. And if you are not proud of that and take time to celebrate it, like I strongly suggest people do that because it's hard. You know?
Amen, sister.
Amen.
I don't think that they're losses. I think they're lessons. Cool. When I made that shift in my brain, I want to say around when we met, when you brought faith back into my life, that is when I realized that everything is happening for me and not to me. Yeah. And every time there was a quote loss, I got excited about it because I was like, great, what are we going to learn from this? How is this going to help inform the next big win?
Yeah. And I think when people shift their mindset in while it's happening, and just like you said, it's happening for you, it's like a whole different dynamic. Like I honor those things. I'm like, well, that was a really big lesson, and some are a lot bigger than others. And I'm like, I definitely won't do that again. And then there's some that you kind of have to have it happen to you 5-6 times. And then you're like, okay, let's not do that anymore, you know, but everything is teaching you something. And to your point, it's such an important message that everything is for you and happening for you in the best light, even when it does not feel good, you know, and not to go deep into it, but like with loss and all of that, it's not saying like this person was so, you know, it is the bigger picture of what can you take from it? And with my dad, I'm like, every day is a gift, and every day I'm going to do as best as I can to be a like kind, loving human to this world and people in it, because like we are just not guaranteed anything. And I think it's a really important lesson for people that like everything is for you, even when it feels like the world is against you.
I'm so grateful he brought you into this world. I'm crying again. Speaking of celebrating, we talked a lot about celebrating wins. what can we celebrate for you? You dropped a couple breadcrumbs throughout the interview, so I'm like on pins and needles. Tell us as much as you can, but don't spill the beans fully if you can't. But what can we celebrate for you going forward?
A few things. So we did get that showroom last year, and then everything happened. And
Explain.
5,000 square foot showroom.
Amazing.
In El Segundo. It's office space for Life in General, a showroom for Closets in General. We're custom built outs, and then a warehouse for our cabinetry and our product line.
Amazing.
So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. And I'm like able to now, like I fought like hell last year for it and making sure we're good, because you know, a 5,000 square foot building in El Segundo is no easy feat or a price tag that's like, oh, no big deal. But I knew when I signed that lease, I'm like, this is my home. I see the dream and I see the vision, and it's such a beautiful space that people, when it gets up and running soon, people can come to it. Our clients, our team, I mean, happy hours on Friday. I'm like creating that culture, but people can come to a safe space where they feel loved and seen, and we work really hard, but we have such a good time. And there's a respect in that room. And every day I walk through that door and I'm just like so grateful that I fought so hard, because it is my home, and I feel excited for what's to come in that showroom space and Closets in General and all custom cabinetry. I'm putting a lot of my energy towards, you know, which I've never been able to do before. So now I'm like going that way, and then also having a space for other organizers. So if they needed to film or be, or just this business coaching and mentorship and partnership program. And then I'm writing a book.
Yay! I can't wait to read it.
Manuscript's due in 3 weeks, so.
Oh my gosh. And how long until it gets published? How far in advance are you writing it? A year.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or so.
Ish.
Yeah, I've been writing it basically all through the last year, or the last 6 months, pouring my heart and soul into every single word in this book. And I'm just can't share more, but I'm so excited when I can.
I can't wait to have you back on the show to celebrate it. How can people reach you? Because I know that they're going to want more of you after they listen to this.
On Instagram is our basic, like, day-to-day, see all the projects and the behind the scenes, and that's at Life in General, and General's with a J. Our website's getting a facelift right now, so you can still go to lifeingeneral.com, but soon we have a lot of goodness coming there. And then we're in El Segundo, so we're just going to have people come on in. I'm like, come visit me. Let's have coffee. But yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. You are an absolute dream. And I know that this one conversation is going to affect so many people. That was Jen Roban, CEO and founder of Life in General, for our first episode on Marrin Costello Radio. Each week, we will bring another amazing guest on to chat motivation, inspiration, and entrepreneurship. Connect with me offline on all platforms at Marrin Costello, 2 R's, 2 L's. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next week.